I am Manuel, director of the experiment you are about to watch. It's a live cinema theatrical performance using virtual reality and game technology, recorded on January 2018 at IMPA, Rio de Janeiro.
If by your art, my dearest mother, you have put wild waters in this rower, I lay them. The sky seems to pour down stinking pitch, but at the sea, mounting to the welcom's cheek, dashes the fire out. Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer. A brave vessel, who had no doubt a noble creature in her, dashed out to pieces. Oh, the cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Had it been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the author air. It should the good ship so have swallowed, and the fretting sobs within her.
Be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there is no harm done.
How wounded he!
No harm. I have done nothing but in care of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who are ignorant of what thou art, not knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospera, master of a full Purcell, and thy no greater mother.
More to know did never matter with my thoughts.
Lend thy hand, and pluck my magic garment from me. Wipe thou thine eyes. Have comfort. The direful spectacle of the wreck, which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have with such provision in my heart, so safely ordered, that there is no soul, no, not so much perdition as an hair betid to any creature in the vessel which thou heardest cry, which thou sawest sink. Sit down, for thou must now know further.
You have often begun to tell me what I am, but stop it, and left me to this bootless inquisition, concluding, stay, not yet.
The hours now come. Canst thou remember a time before we came into the cell? I do not think thou canst, for then thou was not out 3 years old.
Certainly, madam, I can.
By what? By any other house or person?
Had I not 4 or 5 women once that tended me?
Thou hast. And more, Miranda. But how is it that this lives in thy mind? If thou rememberst how ere thou comes here, how thou comes here thou mayst.
But that I do not.
12 years since, Miranda. 12 years since thy mother held the dukedom of Milan and its princely power.
But are not you my mother?
Thy mother was Duchess of Milan, and thou wast my only heir and princess.
Oh, the heavens! What foul play had we that we came from thence? Or blessed was we dead?
Both, my girl. By foul play, as thou sayest, were hither thence, but blessedly hope hither.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think of the thing that I have turned you to, which from my remembrance please you farther.
My brother and thy uncle, called Antonio, I pray thee mark me that a brother should be so perfidious, he who makes thyself of all the world beloved, and to him put the manage of my state, a false uncle, thus I'll hear,
Madam, most heedfully.
being once perfected how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance, who to trash for overtopping, thou attends me not.
Oh, good madam, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. Like one who having into truth by telling of it, he made such a sinner of his memory to credit his own lie, he did believe he was indeed the Duke. Hence his ambition growing, thou attends me not.
Your tale, madam, would recur Daphnis.
Me, poor woman, my library was dukedom large enough. He confederates with the King of Naples to give him annual tribute, do him homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom, yet unbound poor Milan to most ignoble stooping.
Oh, the heavens!
Tell me if it might be a brother.
I should seem to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons.
Now the condition. The King of Naples should extirpate me and mine out of the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honors on my brother. Whereon, one midnight, fated to the purpose, in the dead of darkness, the ministers of the purpose hurry against me and thy crying self.
Alack for pity! I, not remembering how I cried out them, will cry it over again. It's a hint that rings my eyes to it.
Here a little further.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Dear, they does not set a mark so bloody on the business. In few, they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to the sea, where they prepared the rotten carcass of a butt. The very rats instinctively have quitted.
Alack, what trouble was I them to you?
Oh, a cherubim thou was, that did preserve me. Thou didst smile with a fortitude, when I have decked the sea with drops full salt.
How came we ashore?
By providence divine, some food we had, and some fresh water that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, did give us. So, of his gentleness, knowing I loved my books, he furnished me from my own libraries with volumes I prize above my dukedom.
Could I might but ever see the man!
Now I arise. Sit still and hear the last of our sea sorrow. Here, in this island we arrived, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profited than other princes can, who have more time for vainer hours, and tutors not so careful.
Heavens, thank you for it. And now, I pray you, madam, for still this beating my mind, your reason for raising this sea stone?
By accident most strange, hath my enemies brought to this shore. Here cease more questions. Thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness. Give it way. I know thou canst not choose. Come away, servant. Come. I'm ready now. Approach my Ariel. Come.
Oh, hey-yo, great master, grave dam, hey-yo. I come to answer thy best pleasure, that to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds, to thy strong beating task, Ariel, and all his quality.
Hast thou spirit performed to point the tempest I bade thee?
To every article, I boarded the king's ship, now on the beak, now in the waist, the deck, in every cabin aflame amazement. Sometime I would divide and burn in many places, on the top mass, The yards and bowsprit to the flames instantly, then meet and join. Jove's lightnings, the precursors of the dreadful thunderclaps, more momentary inside our running or not. The fire and cracks of sulphurous roaring, the most mighty Neptune seemed to besiege, and make his bold waves tremble. Yeah, his dread trident shake.
That's my spirit, who was so firm, so constant, that this coil would not infect his reason.
Not a soul but felt a fever of the mad, and played some tricks of desperation. All but mariners plunged in the foamy brine and quit the vessel. Then all afire at me, the king's son, Ferdinand, with the hair upstaring, then like reeds, not hair, was the first man that leaped, and cried, Hell is empty, and all the devils are here.
That's my spirit, but was not this nice shore?
Close by, my master.
Where are they, Ariel? Safe.
Not a hair perished. On their sustaining garments, not a blemish, but fresher than before. And as thou best me, in troops I have dispersed them about the isle. The king's son I have landed by himself, whom I left cooling off the air, with sides in an odd angle of the isle. His arms in this sad knot.
Of the kingship, the mariners, say, how thou hast disposed, and all the rest of the fleet.
Safely in the harbor's the kingship. In the deep nook, once that calls me up at midnight to fetch dew from the still vexed vermouth, there she's hid. The mariners on the hatches tow, with a charm joined to the suffered labor, have left asleep. And for the rest of the fleet, with I dispersed, they all have met again, and are up on Mediterranean float bound, sadly home for Naples, supposing that they saw the king's ship wrecked and his great person perish.
Ariel, thy charge exactly is performant, but there is more work. What's the time of the day?
Past mid-season.
At least 2 glasses.
Is there more toil? Since thou dost give me pains, let me remember thee what thou hast promised, which is not yet performed me.
How now, moody? What is thou canst demand?
My liberty.
Before the time be out, no more.
I pray thee remember, I have done thee worthy service, told thee no lies, made thee no mistakes, served without a grudge or grumblings, thou didst promise to bait me a full year.
Hast thou forgot from what a torment I did free thee?
No,
Thou dost.
I do not, madam.
Thou liest, malignant thing. Hast thou forgot the foul-witched Sycorax, who with age and envy was grown into a hoop?
No, madam.
Thou hast. Where was she born? Speak, tell me.
Madam, in Arger.
Oh, was she so? I must once in a month recount what has been, which thou forgest. This damned witch Sycorax, for mischief is manifold, and sorceries terrible to enter human hearing, for Arger thou knowest was banished. For one thing she did, they would not take her life. Is not this true?
Ay, madam.
This blue-eyed hag was hither brought with child, and here was left by the sailors. Thou, my slave, as thou reportest thyself, was then her servant, and for thou was a spirit too delicate to act her earthy and abhorred commands, refusing her grand hest, she did confine thee into a cloven pine, within which shrift prison thou didst painfully remain 12 years, within which space she died, and left thee there.
Yes, madam.
It was mine aunt when I arrived, and heard thee, that may gape the pine, and let thee out.
I thank thee, master.
If thou more murmurest, I will rent an oak, peg thee in his knotty entrails, till thou hast hauled away 12 winters.
Pardon, master. I will be correspondent to command and do my spiriting gently.
Do so, and after 2 days I will discharge thee.
That's my noble master. What shall I do? Say what? What shall I do?
Go, make thyself like a nymph of the sea. Be subject to not sight but thine and mine, invisible to every eyeball else. Go, take the shape, and here come in it. Go, hence with diligence. Now my charms are overthrown, and what strength I have is mine own. Now 'tis true, I must be here, confined by you or sent to Naples. Let me not, since I have my dukedom God and pardon the deceiver, dwell in this bare island by your spell, but release me from my bands with the help of your good hands. Gentle breath of yours my sails must fill, or else my project fails, which was to please. Now I want spirits to enforce, art to enchant, and my ending is despair, unless I be relieved by prayer, which pierces so that it assaults mercy itself, and frees all faults. As you from crimes would pardon be, let your indulgence set me free.
La